all her life she had a faith in change. And she believed that everybody can change. Just like individuals can change, nations can change, everybody has the possibility of changing. And that's part of what attracted me to her philosophy, because it was so optimistic. No matter what happens to you in life, you have the possibility of changing the course. She was on the train to Paris when she was 33 years old. She had no money, she was unmarried, and her mother was a widow, and she was quite eccentric, so she had gambled away her fortune. And Bertha was left with nothing, basically. But, like I said, she had this optimistic belief that she could change her life, and she went to work for a stranger in Paris. And this stranger was no one else than the dynamite inventor Alfred Nobel. She was a very smart woman and very beautiful, intelligent, quick. And she comes to Paris, and this bachelor Alfred Nobel is shy, kind of awkward. He he falls in love. And after 1 week he asks her, "Is your heart free?" It wasn't, unfortunately for Alfred Nobel, because she was actually in love with someone else. She had met an Austrian guy, Alfred von Suttner, just before leaving, and she was very much in love with him, but the mother of this guy did not approve of the relationship, as Bertha was broke, 33 years old, which was a horrible age for a woman at that time. And she kicked out Bertha of the household. She did not want her to marry her favorite son. So she thought, okay, well, I can't get this guy in Vienna now. I'll go to Paris, work for Alfred Nobel, see what happens, and then after 1 week only, she had a telegram from Vienna saying, "I can't live without you." And that was the young Alfred von Suttner. He was actually heartbroken, and he wanted her back. So Bertha Kinsky left Alfred Nobel in Paris to go back to Vienna and marry Alfred von Suttner, against his mother's will. What happened at that time in Vienna was that their marriage was banned, obviously, and not accepted. There were no jobs for Arthur. All the doors of society were closed for them, and they had to run away. She contacted a friend in Georgia. Now, she had never been to Georgia or anywhere that far east, so it was quite a big journey for them to take. They took the boat, over the Black Sea and went to this wild country, that, poor country, and they managed to find their way to this friend of Bertha, and where they got a little house and got jobs as a teacher. They spent 9 years there, and that's where she got to become a pacifist. And like I said, because of this war that was raging, and she was terrified to read about the losses in the papers, and she felt compassion with people who've lost somebody. And she was angry because she had such a passion for life, and to see people dying and read about people dying was something that really infuriated her. But she was never a sentimental woman in the way that she sat down and cried, "Oh, this is so terrible, and what can we, oh my God." She just decided to do something. So she actually wrote an anti-war novel called Lay Down Your Arms. It's, if you think about a horrible film about the war, and you see, people's heads being cut off, people dying, blood, all the details, the horrible details that Steven Spielberg can make, she put into that novel. The novel is full of descriptions about war, people dying, soldiers suffering, and she doesn't really spare any details. And that book, Lay Down Your Arms, was an instant bestseller in Europe. It sold in 20 different languages. It was printed in the United States, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, all the big countries of Europe. And that success made her influential on many people, because now she was taken seriously. And one person she had a lot of influence on was Alfred Nobel. Now he took her seriously anyhow, because he always respected her. But he was very impressed by her success. And in a letter he writes to her that there are 999 languages in the world, but there's not one single one that your book should not be translated to, he wrote to her. Alfred Nobel and Bertha von Suttner exchanged about 90 letters during 20 years. And what did they write about? Peace. The more you get into the letters, the more details you can see about that. She not only says, oh, you should spend your fortune on, peace work, but she also says, and this peace work should be peace congresses and reduction of arms. Because she believed in those two things all her life. And Alfred Nobel, on the other side, he was skeptical. He believed more in this kind of, arms power balance. Those two views still exist today, realistic one with balance of power and sort of feeling each other's teeth, and then the idealistic one with dialogue and reduction of arms. And they represented those two views. And Bertha never gave up. She wrote him letter after letter trying to make him change his view. And she succeeded. In his will, he wrote that the peace prize should go to the person who has worked for reduction of arms and peace congresses. And those were the two things that she tried to make him write. And then he added one last thing, which was brotherhood of nations. And towards the end of her life, she was quite shocked at what she saw happening in Europe and at the Balkans. She wrote this article saying they're fighting like beasts about who is the worst beast, and they don't see that the beast itself is the war. So she struggled to make people aware of what was coming, and she was very frustrated because people were not listening to her. She was warning against a major war, but people didn't listen to her. She was so passionate. Her life was now peace work. That was all. She had this burning desire to help, and she used every spare hour to work, write, or talk on peace matters. So she kept fighting for peace way up until her last year. And in 1914 she died. That was only 2 weeks before the First World War broke out. And the story I've read, according to her doctor, she actually still in bed, her last few weeks she wrote letters, articles against war, and she died, according to them. But this man with this shout on her lip, "Lay down your arms." So those were her last words.